Right, so the Commonwealth War Graves Commission commemorates the 1.7 million war dead from across the Commonwealth from World War I and World War II. And here at Stonefall we've got a site with more than 900 war graves in this large plot near the Forest Lane end of the cemetery. And the majority of these are Second World War airmen who died usually in an accident, perhaps at takeoff to go on a mission, or when they were landing on their way back after a mission. We've got casualties here from right across the Commonwealth.
So obviously we're coming up to Remembrance Sunday. Normally there's quite a kind of delegation, isn't there, of VIPs?
Yes, normally for Remembrance Sunday here at Stonefall Cemetery, Harrogate Rotary Association would organise a remembrance service, which this year, because of COVID-19, we're unable to host, but we would still ask people to come and make a personal pilgrimage at some point over the remembrance period. Obviously, any visitors to the site would need to bear in mind and follow the government regulations that are current at the time, but the site is still open for visitors to make that personal pilgrimage.
And they can come down, is it between 9 and dusk?
Well, this part of the cemetery is open for pedestrian visitors all the time. The gates to this section aren't locked. So yes, during daylight hours, people are very welcome to come and visit, observing the regulations.
So just to talk about what normally happens, you're saying it's organised by the Rotary Club there. I think people will have seen like the local MP and the Army College, they all lay wreaths, but also there's the lane of flowers, isn't there, on each grave?
That's right. We have 3 remembrance services every year at Harrogate. There's one usually in September that's organised by the Royal Air Force Association. There's this one that's organised by Harrogate Rotary, and there's a 3rd Christmas remembrance which started a couple of years ago, which is organised by a local family. And at all those events, VIPs attend. Usually for the Remembrance Day parade, the local MP would be here, and dignitaries, representatives of the services, including representatives from the Canadians. There are a lot of Canadians buried here, and New Zealanders and Australians, so there would probably be representatives from there as well. School children come, and flowers are laid on the graves.
And I know you've been doing quite a lot of research and sort of tracing some of the stories behind the graves. Are there any particular stories to know?
Yeah, that's right. We've actually just recently launched a new digital resource which can be accessed at www.cwgc.org/ExploreGB. And on there, if people click through to Stonefall, they will be able to find the section for this cemetery, which contains historical information about the cemetery, some documents from our archive pertaining to this site, and also there's a downloadable self-guide tour that people can access, and in there they'll find some of the stories about our casualties. 2 of the casualties mentioned on there are 2 brothers, 2 Canadian brothers, the Hanna brothers. Lloyd Hanna died in October 1944. He was stationed in Lincolnshire, and he was taken off from Lincolnshire with his crew and a full bomb load when unfortunately an engine caught on fire. And so Lloyd got the plane up as high as he could so that the crew could bail out. He stayed with the plane. He wanted to fly it away from the village that was down below, and in doing so he unfortunately lost his life in that crash, as did one of the other members of crew who didn't manage to get out in time. So he's buried here. That's Lloyd Hanna. And when Lloyd died, he was actually one of 9 siblings, 9 Canadian siblings, 5 of whom were serving with the forces, and 2 of them were stationed in Britain at the time, a brother and a sister. So the younger brother Harold and a sister also attended that funeral, and the younger brother Harold wrote a letter home to his mother saying, "I hope that I can be half the man my brother was." And then unfortunately a few rows behind Lloyd's grave here at Stonefall Cemetery, we have got the grave of the younger brother Harold, who died flying over he had an accident flying over Germany. The plane he was flying had some shrapnel entered through into the aircraft and pierced through into his lung and knocked him unconscious. That was about 3 weeks after Lloyd's accident, and Harold's crew managed to fly the plane back to Britain, and Harold was taken to hospital, but he never regained consciousness, and he died in January 1945. So we've got two brothers there from that Canadian family in our cemetery. Right, so Lloyd Hannah managed to fly the plane away from the village of Little Grimsby in Lincolnshire, and the villagers there were so grateful for his sacrifice that they have a plaque in their church that mentions all of the aircrew by name, and the two, Lloyd Hannah, the pilot, and Lloyd Bennett, the bomb aimer who lost their lives in that crash. And the British Legion from Little Grimsby often come to this to our site here and lay a posy at the Commonwealth War Graves for both Lloyds every year on their anniversary.
And I know this year you've been developing the story, haven't you? And you've been in contact with one of his remaining sister.
That's yeah. Right. When I wrote some tours for Stonefall, which is 18 months ago, I initially looked into the story, and I thought that the Hannah brothers were possibly the only two siblings in their family. And during lockdown, I've managed to have a bit of time to do a little bit more research, and I looked again, and I discovered that Lloyd Hannah has a nephew who actually came to Stonefall last year on the 75th anniversary of Lloyd's death. So I got in contact with the nephew, and the nephew told me about these boys were two of 9 siblings, and also one of their siblings, the nephew's mother, is still alive. She last saw her brothers when she was 6 years old, when they went off to fight, and she's really pleased to know that the people of Harrogate are still remembering her brothers. And she was delighted to know that the tours that I conduct as public engagement coordinator for the Commonwealth War Graves Commission, through giving those tours to school children and to adults, that these stories are being kept alive. Prior to lockdown last year, for example, I brought 500 school children, primary school children from local schools to this site to tell them about the sacrifice of the servicemen and women, and also about the work of the Commonwealth War Graves Commission. Yeah, we've got a large site here, so it's able to accommodate visitors making a personal pilgrimage. We would ask people to follow the government regulations, but it would be lovely to have the war dead visited over this remembrance period.